Good morning. Welcome to this morning's session from Wax Digital. My name's Daniel Ball. I'm Business Development Director at Wax Digital, and I'm joined on stage this morning by my Chief Technology Officer, Pete Kinder. And between the two of us, we're going to spend the next 20 or 30 minutes hopefully giving you a little bit of insight into some of the areas of innovation that we see, certainly that we're working on, and that we see as potentially impacting in a greater or lesser extent on the world of procurement technology over the course of the next 24, 36 months. So just before I do that, I'll turn this off. I'll give you a brief introduction into Wax Digital for those of you that don't know us. So, what do? Well, we're an e-procurement provider. We try and help businesses do two things, essentially. One of those is to buy better, and by buy better we mean buy the right goods and services from the right suppliers at the right prices, and to try and help people do that as quickly, as simply, as efficiently as they can do. Obviously that's the real nub of our technology, if you like. But also we try and help customers essentially be better businesses, be better in a number of different ways, from reducing waste by taking paper out of the transactional chain, from improving working lives by making it easier for people to actually do their jobs, hopefully getting procurement out of the way rather than making it an obstacle to doing what they want to do, fostering relationships between you as an organization and your supply chain, ultimately, hopefully, managing growth so that organizations can grow with a scalable cloud solution that grows as you grow. And finally, but by no means least, of course, lowering costs. We do that through two key technology strands, first of which is tendering. And that obviously includes electronic tendering, electronic auctions, supplier relationship management, the whole sort of sourcing cycle. And we work with organizations on that front, like, for example, Virgin Active. Just to give one example, Virgin Active, been a customer of ours for a couple of years on the sourcing side of things, came to us when the procurement director left HMV, where he'd put in our system to swap out Ariba, and took us then into Virgin Active. And in the last couple of years, they've used Web3 sourcing very successfully to, first of all, cut their supply chain in half, reduce the number of suppliers that they have into the business by about 48%, and secondly, drive some really significant cost savings into the organization. They want to do an internet-based presentation without a picture of a cat these days, so they've actually, a category that they've auctioned recently was towels. And towels enable them to save about 30% on a £1 million a year spend, believe it or not, on towels. So a great result for those guys. But as the famously combative Jack Welch, ex-CEO of General Electric, said to one of his lieutenants, "You haven't saved us a red cent until you can guarantee that everyone in this organization is buying off that contract." So, of course, the other side of the coin that we enable for our customers is purchase to pay. It's essentially looking at how we can secure those savings through control, through compliance, through spend visibility, by getting everybody to actually buy from those approved suppliers, again, at those approved prices. That allows will.i.am, for example, bear with me, you see where I'm going with this, when he needs to call upon his hairdressing team because he needs a bit of a trim, you know, number 4 around the sides and the back, and a bit of a trim on top, or he wants a particularly tall session musician to help out with his next track, or indeed a security cleared assistant to bring him some sushi, naturally in the likeness of a panda bear, then he is eternally grateful that Universal Music used Web3 P2P to actually enable 92% of their suppliers within 6 months to electronic trading in the UK. And as a result, taking about 9 out of every 10 of their invoices from being paper-based processes to electronic processes, saving millions in process and administration costs, and putting an end to that position of the supply chain tail wagging the dog. Which all helps the Black Eyed Peas to stay very much out of the red, even despite Will's profligate attitude towards spending money. And those kind of things have come together and enabled us to be, or have resulted us really, being ranked by Gartner as far and away the UK #1 provider for both e-sourcing and purchase to pay, independent to one another in the different Gartner reports that are run in those areas, and a top 5 source to pay vendor globally. So that's hopefully fairly briefly an introduction into who we are and some of the things that we do. What we want to talk about this morning, though, is not so much what we do for clients in the past, but what we actually intend to be doing for clients in the future. Some of the things that we see as coming to bear on procurement software and processes, how they might be transformed in the future. So to introduce the topic, I'll just hand over to Pete, and he'll give you a quick summary of sort of why we get involved in some of the innovations that we do.
Good morning. So I manage a team of first-class developers, and a lot of the work we do day to day is around iterative improvement, honing and refining of the current systems we've got that we use with existing customers like Virgin Active and Universal and others. But we are also looking to spend time on making that system more effective, more efficient, more intuitive for the future. So as part of that, we invest quite heavily in what we could term the NASA effect. And that's less about slightly dodgy covers of David Bowie songs, but it's also really about reaching for the stars, working on cutting-edge projects that might not themselves have direct application right now, but could deliver some really compelling spin-off benefits in the future. So pretty sure everyone's familiar with the concept of non-stick frying pans that came out of the American space program, alongside freeze-dried foods. But what about digital thermometers? Dustbusters, radial tyres, scratch-resistant glass, or even memory foam. All these products came out of the space research program. So it's only by looking as far ahead as we can that we're able to see what's around us today in a different way, sometimes more clearly, and deliver both a long-term vision and some really valuable short-term and medium-term improvements, innovations, enhancements to our software and technology.
So one of the things that we do to try and sort of understand where the market's going, what technology improvements we want to be introducing into our software set and how they might impact on procurement, is we run a series of roundtables. So we have an innovations forum that we run on a regular basis. Last one was a couple of months ago, chaired by Martin Bryant, who's the editor-in-chief of a technology magazine called The Next Web. And we invite procurement professionals and technology experts and writers to come along and discuss some of the key areas that we see in terms of, okay, well, what's upcoming from a technology perspective that we think our customers might be interested in. One of those key strands is search. I'm sure you're all very familiar with search. It's remarkably about 20 years or so since we had sites like Yahoo and Lycos, for example, just beginning to index sites in a process that was actually manually based. So people were actually manually indexing websites to say, okay, well, if you're searching for this, then here are some websites that you might want to have a look at. 20 years is a very long time in technology. Today we have about 861 million registered websites worldwide. Google performs about 6 billion searches a day across those websites. So search is absolutely fundamental to our web experience, to our software experience, really. And that's only going to increase in importance in the future as we see really that superabundance of data replicated in the commercial environment as well as in the consumer environment. More and more of us have to deal with more and more data, and that's why we have been investing in something called liquid search. So what we want is a search capability that can actually seep out and bring back results from not just local information, but also a wide range of sources. So to give you an idea, one of the things that we're working on in the minute is something called Fuse, which is a shorthand for Federated Universal Search Engine. So we want our customers to be able to not just search their local catalogues for items to buy, not just search their local catalogues and punch-out catalogues, but for you as procurement professionals to be able to say, okay, well, we've got engineers in our organization who are product experts. They know far more than I do about what represents good value when it comes to buying a maintenance tool for performing some kind of operation on this very complicated manufacturing line. So I want to give them a series of websites, which could be standard e-commerce websites, that they can browse from within the purchase-to-pay system. We don't have to have a punch-out relationship with them. We don't have to have any kind of commercial or contractual relationship with that third party. But they can browse those as well as the local catalogues, as well as the punch-out catalogues, and pull all those results together into a single search return so that we can see, in this case as an example with cameras, okay, well, yes, we've got a locally contracted supplier for that, but equally, if I went and bought that from somebody that I'm allowed to buy from online as well, that could give me a saving of £5.99 or £10 or whatever. And again, you can obviously apply certain approvals processes and rules to that. But the principle really is that we want to be able to give people a lot more freedom to be able to actually go out onto the internet, but within the overarching control environment of a P2P system, bring back products, set up suppliers as part of that process, as part of a seamless purchase process, so that we are freeing people from necessarily just those contracted suppliers. We see that as being a very important tool for larger enterprises where you might want to do price benchmarking as a procurement team, for example. You might want to let those expert buyers go out into the wider world and do their expert buying. And also in smaller organizations where you may not have the procurement capacity to be able to actually put contracts in every single supply category that you'd like to. So you can very quickly and easily effectively onboard a category by allowing buyers to go out, and buyers in the looser sense of the term, requisitioners I should probably say, to go out onto the internet, find products and services that they want to buy within those categories, and again, apply the same level of control and consistency to them, even though you don't have a contractual relationship with them. Pete mentioned the NASA kind of effect there. One of the spin-offs from that has been for us that we've been able to essentially improve the search capabilities that we have for local data as well by about 20-fold in undertaking this project. What it also means is that users, when they link out to third-party websites, can take advantage of some of the innovations that are being led in the market by those third parties. So, for example, we can already link out to Amazon, let's say, and allow a user of Web3 P2P to go out to Amazon, search Amazon, pull back the results in the same interface, and then take advantage of some of the kind of innovations that organizations like Amazon are bringing to market.
If you're like me, I get tired of always running out of stuff. It gets pretty frustrating. That's where Amazon Dash saves the day. With that simple design, it makes ordering groceries a piece of cake. Just hold down the voice button and say anything you want. It's always ready to go.
Chocolate chips.
And the barcode scanner is really fun to use. You never have to worry about being out of something you need. With Amazon Dash, you can order over 500,000 items.
Guitar strings, strawberry yogurt, apples.
You can check out from the Amazon Fresh website or smartphone apps. Most orders arrive the next day. And things get delivered right to your door. How cool is that? No more parking lots, waiting in lines, or losing kids in the store. Now you'll have more time in your day, so you'll never miss those special moments. Amazon Dash. Shopping made simple. How is that, Dada?
So as you can see, I mean, that's a consumer application at the minute, but obviously I suppose the signposts are there for the business-to-business world. And what we want to do by improving search and making it more liquid is to be able to leverage third-party innovations in as much the same way as we leverage our own innovations. Another thing that's a common topic of conversation these days is the Internet of Things. So if we take a touch of search technology, we add Internet of Things into the mix where we have kind of an intelligent devices that communicate via the cloud back with procurement systems, then we can very soon see a time where, for clients of ours like Calagas, for example, we'll be able to take information from vans, from boilers, from empty store cupboards, from factory floors that are flooded, to be able to say, okay, I'm in trouble, I need this part, automatically, directly from that application, so that we're essentially replenishment stock filling, not because something's run out, but because something's actually damaged or failed. And that unit itself is telling us that, even to the point where one day we may be able to have intelligent toilet roll holders that automate the reordering of toilet rolls, because obviously buying toilet rolls is one of the linchpin procurement activities, as we all know. Something else that we see a lot of at the minute and that we're working on is contextual data presentation. You may be familiar with Google Now, which already is able to present users with kind of data that is very specific to not just them, but also to their environment. Where am I now? What time of day it is? What am I doing? So again, let's take a look at what they're doing.
Instead of having to sift through and organize all the information you need throughout your day, all that information is ready at the exact moment you actually need it. Introducing Google Now. Now with Android, one simple swipe gives you the information that is relevant to you right now. As you leave your house, Google Now is smart enough to check current traffic conditions and has prepared an alternate route for your commute. Google Now is always one step ahead, so you can feel more confident as you navigate your day. When you're at a subway station, Google Now can tell you what trains are next, find you interesting local places to eat. Is there a good Japanese noodle bar nearby? And when you're in a restaurant, your phone already has the best dishes listed for you. Google Now automatically keeps you updated on your favorite sports teams in real time, just in case you were curious about that no-hitter. With the predictive power of Now, you get just what you need to know right when you need it.
I'm more curious to know what a no-hitter is, to be honest. But, so Google Now shows us a kind of a future where, okay, well, systems take much more account of what we actually put into them and also what we're doing. There's another neat application called Human, which is a kind of a more humanist address book, if you like. Which allows for much more natural search. So when you enter people's contact details, it also captures environmental information and information from you about who that person is, so that you can subsequently search your address book not by trying to remember somebody's name, but by saying, okay, lives in Newcastle, or met in April at Ruby's 40th birthday party, or is a friend of Pete, or something like that. So again, being able to deliver search results in a much more kind of humanistic, natural way. And that's something that we see evolving pretty quickly in e-procurement software. I mean, we already do quite a lot of that in terms of things like predictive texting and catalog views, which are specific to individual users, and linked items for purchase, those kind of things. But they're all fairly programmatic. They're kind of hard-coded to say, okay, well, these are the relationships between those things and those people. What we want to be able to move towards is a situation where that is much more natural, and we're presenting information, so, you know, alerts, buying opportunities, buying options, approvals, in a way that actually fits better in with people's working activities and working days. One of the other really hot topics at the minute, and why I'm wearing this on my face, is wearables. And wearables is something that we see as being potentially a really important innovation area in e-procurement and procurement. So obviously it's in the news at the minute thanks to Apple's foray into the iWatch market. And it's one of those interesting areas where actually it might be the aesthetic of the things that prevents uptake much more so than the technology, at least in the early days. I think they've got a fair bit to go before they become particularly fashion forward, shall we say. But actually, if you look at the adoption rates of this kind of technology, if you go right back to PCs, it maybe took us 10 years to get PCs on everybody's desks. It maybe then took us 5 years to get mobile phones into the majority of business users' hands, maybe then a couple of years to get smartphones rolled out across organizations. Because businesses see more and more, okay, well, there is a really significant return on our investment here. We can contact people and have them responding to emails 24 hours a day. Fantastic. Wearables is, you know, the next generation of that, which ties us ever closely into our corporate taskmasters. So I don't think it'll take very long before we see quite a significant degree of penetration going into corporate environments. And that could be really, really useful. I mean, there are certain big brother implications to all of this, of course, and they kind of have to be addressed. But if you take an example in temporary labour, which, you know, it's a huge spend category for most organisations, and it's really one of the most difficult to manage, control, and bring under proper management. Imagine that, you know, instead of giving people a name badge, a contractor a name badge when they come onto site to work, you actually give them a wristband which contains certain elements of personal data about them that allows you to track their movements, track their activities, that gives them access or denies them access to various parts of the building and or computer systems around the building, so that you can get a complete picture in real time of your temporary labour spend as it's happening around the organisation, of the productivity of those workers, and all your other key KPIs as well. And one of the procurement directors at our last forum was really excited by this opportunity in terms of being able to improve and drive savings, not necessarily by honing in on who's actually working, who isn't, who's skiving essentially, but more things like, okay, well, I can do a time and motion study then that says that if we move this stores from location A to location B, that'll save us a man day every week because it'll stop people spending loads of time needlessly taking materials from one point to another. That kind of big data element of wearables is something that I think is going to be really important. And of course, wearables also includes the much and oft derided Google Glass in its current form at any rate. But again, we think it really does point a way ahead to certain areas of purchasing and improving those purchasing practices and processes such that they become much more seamless parts of everyday life. Hi there. My name's Daniel Ball. I'm a director at Wax Digital, and you're joining us today in our Innovations Lab, where we're taking a look at one of our latest developments, which is Web3 for Google Glass. So why Google Glass? Well, Web3 is all about the user experience, and we are constantly innovating and developing to try and make that user experience as efficient, as effective, and as good as it can be for end users. The problem with most computer applications is they're exactly that, computer applications. It means that you're tied to a laptop or a PC, which you aren't always necessarily close to. So you've got to stop what you're doing and engage directly with that application. Mobile technology disrupted this norm a couple of years ago, and now we all carry around mini computers in the shape of phones. We think wearables will take that onto a whole new level again in the next couple of years, and that's why we're investing in Google Glass now. So in this demonstration, Pete Kinder, our CTO, is going to show you just how quick and convenient Google Glass can already make the purchasing process in Web3.
Let's start by selecting a product from the catalogue. I simply open the Web3 app on the glass, tap and say what I'm searching for. Cordless mouse. I can scroll through the matches until I find the product I'm looking for. I then add an item to the basket with a simple tap of the frame.
And when I get an approval message, I can review it and make a decision at the tap of a frame.
So Glass users can keep on adding items to their basket throughout the day and then simply turn to their PC when it's convenient to them in order to finish the requisition process. There's much more functionality on offer, but hopefully that gives you a quick insight into how wearables might soon make procurement processes a more seamless part of day-to-day activity than they currently are. So keep an eye out for more Web3 innovations coming soon in this space. Sorry. Quick order to approve there. But hopefully that gives you some idea of where we see this kind of technology playing a role in purchasing, and recognise that that's not going to happen tomorrow. But equally, there are, again, a lot of spin-off benefits that we're able to take back to our customers very early from that kind of technology advance. It makes us think about the fact that we have to present information from product searches and from approvals and from requisitions in ever much smaller and more confined sort of data templates. And that then again feeds back into our core procurement application to make us think about, okay, well, could we do that better on an email? Could we do it better on screen, even though I have loads of screen real estate when I'm using a PC? So that's in beta right now. Come along to our stand and have a go at Google Glass. You're more than welcome to. In November, we'll be launching that officially, and we'll be following it up again with a further sort of raft of functionality and features. So allowing for pictorial search, for example, take a picture of an item, be able to match that against your catalog. For doing barcode searches, so again, you can use the camera on Google Glass just to be able to take a picture of a barcode and then add an item to your shopping basket using that functionality. So it's a very ongoing process for us, and one that I think will deliver a great deal of benefit to our customers over the years to come. So, sort of to draw to a conclusion, really, whilst a lot of the work that we do as software developers is about automation, it's about sort of behind the scenes disenfranchising the human touch points to take cost out by making invoices electronic, purchase orders electronic, all those kind of things. Software's clearly become very efficient and effective in making those processes as efficient as they can be. Actually, perhaps the most important work we do is the opposite of that. It's about using technology as an enabler. It's about empowering people by giving them the right tools to see more clearly and to behave more effectively and work more effectively. And ultimately, it's about leaving purchasing, proper purchasing, not buying or administrative purchasing, to you, the professionals. So I guess my closing thought for this morning would be to say that I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time to be in procurement, and I've been in this space for 15 years or so. There are some really fantastic tools and technologies that are already available, and some real step changes just around the corner that I think are going to take purchasing technology onto another level altogether, so that those people out there can get on with buying their own toilet rolls, and procurement professionals can actually really step up and take a seat at the board table to drive the strategic procurement initiatives that can add more value, I think, to an organisation than really any other role more quickly. So we're happy to fly a few kites, to invest in things like Google Glass, which we appreciate isn't going to be rolled out immediately to 300 users in each of your organisations, although if you are interested in so doing, please come and talk to us on the stand. But I think certainly our customers will benefit a lot from the spin-off technologies again, and the difference in thinking that looking as far ahead as we can often brings to a lot of the stuff that we're doing today. But that actually also it won't really be too long before these or something rather like them do find their way into the workplace and actually serve to deliver a lot of benefit to organisations like yours, I would hope. So if you'd like to talk about any of the things that we've talked about this morning, if you'd like to take part in a future innovations forum with us, or if you'd like to have a go on our Google Glass application, it's a terrible thing to say, Google Glass. Or indeed, obviously, if you want to buy a class-leading e-sourcing or P2P solution, then please do come and see us on our stand. We'd be very happy to see you. Thank you very much for your attention this morning.